Good morning. Predicted Trades family. Going to do a quick prep for Monday, March 14th. Quick prep before the market opens. I want to cover first. We do have some econ data this week. We are in a trip witch week, so we've got monthly OPEX this Friday. And we have some inflation expectations coming out at 11 a.m. today. Producer price index PPI tomorrow at 8:30, and then Wednesday we got retail sales and FOMC with Uncle Powell talking at 2:30. And then we got, initial and continuing jobless claims on Thursday, home sales Friday, as well as monthly expiration. If you didn't see, Herb shared a couple of stats in the main chat, just showing how much money and distribution is set to expire this week. It's pretty interesting, so go check that out. Then always check out the news section. It's mostly all around Ukraine and what's going on over there. There are potential talks, ceasefire talks that are going on, and it's hard to even say if they're going well. But either way, something to keep an eye on. We might get a news blip that an agreement has been reached at some point in the next few days. I saw some news blip that, some advisor said it could happen as soon as in a few days, but then you see reports that they're still very far away, very different expectations on how the talks are going. So, anyway, just something to keep an eye out for. But going into today, we have a small gap up. It would seem that YM is trying to lead. So we'll check in on a couple of YM names and see how they're doing pre-market. Looks like NQ's kind of lagging. So, last week we opened, had a sell-off, got down overnight to close to the lows from the gap down on the invasion. We did not quite visit those lows, and we got a bounce at this zone that I drew right around 41.36. And then we started up a trend line that on Friday we finally gave out and closed back kind of in the middle of the range and near kind of Monday's close, right? So, small gap up, but basically all of our levels are still in play to the upside and to the downside. We could, again, go back to revisit these lows from last week and the further lows from a couple of weeks ago. We could revisit those this week. But if we can hold up some of these levels and start the fight back up, and get above 30-minute Ichimoku, or maybe even back above this trend line, we could continue the march higher. But we are below the 30-minute Ichimoku now. On Friday I said we're probably the play is to fade the gap back to at least the trend line and the 30-minute Ichimoku, which we are looking at an hourly, so actually, let me change back, sorry. There we go. So yeah, it was a fade the gap back to Ichimoku. We locked up there, reloaded, played some more, and reloaded and played some more. So now we are basically chopping around in this range. We have squeezes on every time frame now. 30-minute up to the daily. I feel like I don't have all of my Oh no, yeah, we're on prep. So we're in a 30-minute squeeze right now, kind of hanging out near the bottom of it. Wouldn't be surprised for a slip at open to retest Friday's lows in this 4190, since we'll be opening right around 4200, kind of in between these key levels. Wouldn't be surprised to go down and tap the lows before we start to take off to get to this 30-minute Ichimoku and the top of the 30-minute squeeze. Got a nice flat level up here at 4257, which is not surprising because we did hang out at this 4260 trying to hold it Friday before giving out and then coming back and retesting and giving out again. So nice flat top here. Let's see, can we hold the squeeze bottom, this 4190? It could slip even to 4183 and get back into the squeeze without firing. So can this zone hold up and start to get us back to squeeze top? As we like to teach, we like to take position off of these squeeze clouds. So when we get to the top, we start to short. Now that we're at the bottom, as long as this zone and the squeeze bottom can hold, we look to go long. So kind of the levels to watch today on ES and the overall thesis. If we start to give out these levels, we are going back to revisit these key levels, which kind of marked support, where we bounced and held and haven't gone back to visit yet. So we get back to 4165, that could be support if this level gives out. If we fall through 65, we're going back to retest the lows, which could be completing the H. But we do have OPEX this week. We could easily just bounce between what has been resistance above and support right here. So this could be the range set for the week. Let's see. On to NQ. Going to be kind of the same thesis. Gave up our trend line, gapping down actually. NQ is kind of the weak one right now. It's the first index that went negative overnight. So we'll have to see if we slip a little bit and all of them go negative, but we find support and come back positive. And kind of the same thing with NQ. We're at the bottom of a squeeze. We're at key support levels. We've got one here. If that gives out, we're going back to the lows. But if this can hold with the squeeze bottom, we can start to get back up to the top and this 30-minute Ichimoku and the zone above centered around 13,500. Let's see. We'll go on to the ready. Same thing, 30-minute squeeze at the bottom. Small gap up. Let's see if the squeeze bottom can hold and head back up. Also, let's go ahead and load in. So since we have all the squeezes in place, they are all stacked up here. So we got a lot of support for the ready around the lows from last week. Well, I'm sorry, this is just from the last few days. So we've got a nice big 4 hour supporting us at 1960, which would stop us from getting back down to the daily around 1920. So if we can hold up here, start heading back up to the levels below and the psychological 2000 YM. YM kind of leading as far as to the upside. So I'm going to look at some YM names and see if there's any good plays there. 30-minute squeeze still down below which wouldn't even be filling the gap to get down to test the bottom of the 30-minute squeeze. But overall, looks like she's trying to hold right now. Top of the squeeze back up at 33,200 with the daily 8 and the daily 15. So let's see if the bottom can hold right around this 32,900, and we can make our way back up to the top and to daily moving averages, daily liquidity above. Real quick, I want to take a look at ES with all of the squeezes. And let's see, 42.45 is POC, which is where the daily 8 is right now. So we do have a magnet up above. Let's see if 4,200, and if this zone around 4190, 4183 can hold us, send us back up to the daily 8 and POC. And then we have the 15 and the 21 above, up at the higher time frame squeezes. And yeah, pretty much 5.7. We're looking at 13.570 something. So on NQ, POC is just above the daily 8. So we've got a nice zone between 536 and 573. That is kind of the target to the upside if we can get through these squeeze tops around 500. Alright, going to move on to individual names now. Apple is now below 155, which was a huge key number. So that is the obvious target to the upside right now. We have slipped below the daily 200 pre-market, which has been on a track to come up and meet 155. So let's see if Apple can hold 151, 150 and start making the fight back to the daily 200 around 153, and 155 being a huge key number that we have stayed above for quite some time. But Apple's going to be a huge key, huge gauge for tech. We are at the second Keltner down, with the third down below at 148. And the mean back up above at 163. The daily 8 at 160. So, gotta find some support, head back up through 155 to make our way to the daily moving averages up at 160 and above. And we're kind of around second Keltner, so let's see how we interact with the daily 200. If we reject that and head lower, it's not going to be good for tech. AMD held 100 last week. Now we're kind of on a trajectory to get back to it to test. Draw a trend line from the highs, because that's going to be, kind of the target to where we're going to try to fight to the upside. Not really any lower time frame squeezes, just a 4 hour and a daily, and we are close to the bottom of the 4 hour. So if market starts to slip, like my original thesis that we might slip and see the squeeze bottoms, you might be able to pick up AMD down here around 101. Want to see 100 to 101 hold for some good upside plays this week. And yeah, we have the daily 8 up at 108 and the daily 21 up at 113. So basically all the strikes in between where we're at and 113 are in play this week. To the downside, 100 down to 95. But 100 is going to be a big key level that it's going to try to defend. Amazon. Big old gap up on stock split news. Make sure to go back and mark that gap, because we actually left a gap zone that we were in the middle of filling. And we left that gap and created a new one. So definitely mark your gap, because we have been holding it so far. So basically, can we hold 2,900, the daily 8, start making our way up through the daily 21 at 2,960, up to 3,000 to start firing these, well, I guess we only have a 2-hour squeeze to the upside. So 3,000, getting above 3,000 would fire that squeeze. And we have the daily 50 up at 3067. Let's look at some YM names. Don't want to play it, but BA is looking like it might try and lead a little bit this morning. And looks like we pushed up and kind of held up above 174 all of last week. So whereas some names, gave out and came back, BA held up and is still up in the zone that it fought up to. So let's see if that continues to hold and it pushes up to 180 in the squeeze top. Frankly, I'm not going to trade it. Never have fun with BA. CAT. I do have a little bit more fun with CAT, so I might trade that. Overall, up above its daily moving averages, and they are stacked somewhat bullish. We still have the 15 below the 21, so a little catch up to happen there on the moving averages, but above and haven't gone back to test. So CAT has been quite strong. I want to draw a trend line from the lows, because if that starts to give out and we see rotation out of YM and maybe into NQ, this could be a very nice short from 215 back to 200 and the daily moving averages from 205 down to 200. Overall, no squeezes on CAT. Currently, it looks like this 2-hour opened up and maybe started to fire. Sorry, gonna have to switch around to see. But overall, I like CAT if it gives out this trend line for a short back to at least where these daily moving averages are, magnets down below, and pockets down below at 182. CRM. 2-hour and a 4-hour squeeze intact. Let's see if it can hold 196. First Keltner down and get trucking up through mission 200 and back to 205, where the daily 21 is sitting. We also have POC up at 204, so nice zone up above. If it can hold this 196, 197, and the squeeze bottom, could be a nice long position on CRM. Facebook. So as you just saw on YM names that held up in their zones that they settled into, now we are, some tech names came all the way back and back at last week's lows. So let's see if Facebook can hold this 186, start making the fight back up to this squeeze top. Looks like a small 30-minute that started on a mission to get back to 190, 195, 200. Looks like the daily means are up around 195 and 200, and we have pocket 190. So let's see if this 30-minute squeeze bottom, 185, can hold, send us back up to 190, 195. If not, and we head below, we might have lows from the gap down to still go visit. Nope, we're through that. So below 185, obviously we're going to visit 180, and I have a 176 down below. Facebook's been definitely getting beat up and not looking strong lately, so. Google was holding up well as far as tech goes on Friday, then it finally gave out. Right around here, I took a position on some 2700s. When they got up here, I locked some left runners. The only thing I failed to do was to look at the 2600 put with Beast, because as we tapped VWAP, the 2600 put tapped Beast, and those ran, I think it was like $1 to $2 up to 10, because they got in the money by the end of the day. So just a great reminder, always look both ways, and sometimes even play both ways at the same time, because one ends up working out real well and covers the other. But either way, let's see if Google can hold 2600. Looks like we're going to open above it or right at it. We do have a small squeeze here. I'm not sure what it is. Small 2-hour squeeze down at around 2588. So a nice little zone here. Let's see if that can hold and start to send us back up to the daily means, up above at 2630, 2656, 2700. If we give out 2580 and the Keltner at 2571, we're going down to the daily squeeze bottom. GS. So banks tried to lead as well last week, had some gapping going around. There was some banks doing a lot of selling on the overnight sessions last week, which led to this gap down. So banks are starting to take position and do some rotation as we are moving into OpX and with all that's going on. But overall, nice gap up on finance. So let's see if GS can hold its squeeze bottom around 326. Can start to make the way to the tops around 334, 335. Looks like we're going to open somewhere around 332. We do have a few squeezes in place, and we have POC at 336, up with the moving averages. So let's see if we can hold 330 and this first Keltner down, and the daily 8, making a nice little zone of support below us to head back up, since Wyom's trying to lead. Also, when are bank earnings? Mid-April. Yep, so something to keep an eye out there. We are moving into earnings season again. JP Morgan, let's see if it can hold. Friday's lows around 129, 130. Start making the trek back up to the moving averages up above, and POC up above at POC's below at 128. So could see some fading, like I talked about, down to squeeze bottoms, holding 128, 129, before we start making a move up this week. MasterCard 320 key, squeeze bottom. Let's see if that can hold, send us up to 330. Gonna open somewhere in between. So we're watching 5 up, 5 down, maybe even 10 up, 10 down, since we do have a larger time frame squeeze that aligns to that for MasterCard for this week. Microsoft, and I need to accelerate through these. Microsoft, let's see if we can hold 280 and these squeeze bottoms, maybe even as low as 275, to get back to 285, 290, and POC at 295 up above. So hold squeeze bottom, get back to squeeze top. We do have a small 30 that could hold us up and cause us to chop a little bit today. Netflix. Opening kind of near the lows of last week, so let's see if we can hold this zone around 339 that we're going to be opening in, and if we can hold pre-market low around 337.2. Looks like these squeezes have started to open up to the downside. So let's see if we still hold this area where it used to be and can head back up through 350 to the daily averages around 357, 370. POC is 360, right in between. So a lot of targets to the upside. Let's see if they can be a magnet to get us up there. NVIDIA goes around 221, little gap down, got a 30-minute squeeze, kind of near pre-market low. Let's see if that holds us up, or if we have to go visit this 4-hour at around 214 to start the journey back to the top of the 30-minute squeeze in this zone around 223, with the moving averages up above, all the way up to 235, and pocket 226, where the daily 8 is going to be. So let's see if we can get through this 30-minute squeeze top, this 223, pocket around 226. Maybe it can accelerate us up to all of these stack moving averages around 230, 235. Qs. I'm going to open around 323. So I'll be watching the 326 and 320. And a 3 up, 3 down today, which kind of aligns with the squeeze bottom, squeeze top. So if we can hold squeeze bottom around 322, hopefully we just take a little fade at open and tap all these things and then start the journey back up. If we give out, we've got last week's lows to revisit around 319, and trying it to come on. And the lows from the gap down around 317, where the second Keltner down is sitting right now, as well as what looks like the daily squeeze, most likely. Yep, down around 318 up to 320. So let's see if that can hold us up and start to send us to the upside this week. Just gonna hit a few key ones and then wrap this up. SPX, let's see if these 3 levels that kind of held us up last week can hold us up now. Obviously, with the small gap up, we'll be above them and kind of in between these 2 key levels, around 42.20, 42.34. So let's see if we have to revisit some of these levels from last week before moving back to the upside. But we do have all the daily moving averages up above at the top of these higher time frame daily squeeze. SPY. Open around 421, 422. Just like on ES, let's see if basically 417 up to 420 can hold us and start sending us higher back to the daily moving averages, and POC at 425. And Tesla, and we'll hit VIX. Tesla, I covered in a couple of times in prep last week that they were just taking it up from 800 to 850, back down to 800, back up to 850, back down. Now we are well below last week's low, where we're going to open. And we do have higher time frame daily squeeze down at 760. Let's zoom in real quick. So I have a key level here around 777, where we kind of have our pre-market low now. So let's see if pre-market low can hold and start sending us back up to 800. If we lose at 777, we could go down to visit this daily squeeze bottom, which spans all the way down to our next key level at 744. If we can hold pre-market low, start heading up, we've got 800 and some of these key levels from last week that were sending us from 800 to 850. We do have POC up at 838, which was a key number, 838, when we lost it on Friday. We dip at open, we went up to try to test 838, we couldn't even get there, which was sitting up with VWAP, and then we went lower. So that's going to be the key target to the upside to get back to. Let's take a quick look at VIX and wrap this up. VIX on Friday surprisingly stayed below 30 most of the day, even with all the controlled selling that we had, then finally broke back above 30. We are now kind of trapped between the daily 8, the daily 21, and trapped between 32 and 30. So wouldn't be surprised to see VIX just chop around here at daily moving averages and at these key levels of 30 and 32. If we break above 32, we can see a more accelerated downside on the market. If we can break below 30, we can see a more accelerated upside on the market. I'm going to wrap up prep there. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry it was a little late today, but the rest of the week we'll aim for 8 a.m. prep. So good luck today. Hope everyone has a great day and hope this helped out.